Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to solve a problem from pedigree analysis from the area of genetics. Let's look at the question. Given below is a pedigree showing the inheritance of an autosomal dominant disorder. So we have to keep this one in mind, that is this disease is an autosomal dominant disease. So wherever there will be a dominant genotype or maybe dominant allele, the person will show a disease. This is the pedigree. Okay, and what is the question? The question is the genotype of the person 1, 2, 3 in this family tree are, means what are their genotypes. So here is the person 1 which marries a healthy woman and produce a healthy son. Now this son or maybe the male marries another woman which is a diseased woman and then produce 4 children. Out of the 4 children, the one daughter is healthy. So this is the pedigree pattern. So to solve these problems we will use the only very basic information about the genetics. So this one is like a healthy female, this is a healthy female, and this one is a healthy male. Okay, and all these dark square, they are the diseased male, and this dark circle is the diseased female. So this information we have to keep in our mind first. Okay, now next what we need, we have to look at the gene of this disease. The gene for this disease has been shown in like a capital M or a small m. It means that gene for this autosomal dominant disorder is a gene M. Let's suppose gene M. For the gene M, the 2 alleles will be possible. Alleles for the gene M will be possible. 2 alleles, a dominant allele and the recessive allele. So the dominant allele will be capital M, the recessive allele will be small m. The phenotype of these alleles or the traits of these alleles would be the disease, and this recessive, the trait of the recessive allele will be healthy condition. The genotypes in the population, will be capital M, capital M, capital M, small m, and then small m, small m. So these will be the 3 genotypes possible in the population. And what will be their phenotypes? Their phenotypes will be, because these both the alleles are dominant alleles, so we call it like homozygous dominant. And since we know that the dominant phenotype is disease, so the phenotype of this genotype will be disease. Now look at this one, we call it heterozygous, so we'll call it heterozygous, plus because of the law of dominance, this one will be dominant over the capital M allele, will be dominant over the small m allele. So the capital M will produce the phenotype, so it will be again a dominant phenotype, so it will be again a diseased condition. Now if we look at the third genotype, so it is homozygous, both the alleles are same, so it will be homozygous, plus now it is allele M, so the allele M produce the recessive phenotype, and we know that the recessive phenotype is a healthy phenotype. Okay, so the recessive phenotype will be healthy phenotype. So what we know, every person who has a healthy phenotype should have a homozygous recessive genotype. So now second information, now we will use this second information in our question or maybe pedigree. So now what we see in the pedigree, there are 3 white persons, so means there are 3 healthy persons. So its a genotype would be small m small m. So its a genotype will also be small m, and the third person is also healthy, so its a genotype will also be small m small m. So we have in fact we have solved one part of the puzzle. So now what we know about different kind of crosses in genetics. So let's suppose a kind of cross 1, it is a cross like capital M with the capital M, or the second cross small m cross with small m. So we know that is like an inbreeding cross. So it is the inbreeding. We always know that in inbreeding they will always produce the same phenotype according as like their parents. So as we already discussed that this is homozygous dominant, so its phenotype will be disease, and these two parents will be healthy. So all their parents, all their progeny will have a dominant phenotype. All their progeny will have a recessive phenotype, and dominant phenotype means diseased condition, and recessive phenotype means healthy conditions. Here we designate diseased as like a D in a bracket, and the healthy is like a H in a bracket. Now we look at a third kind of cross. Here like is a capital M cross with the small m. So this kind of cross is similar to the monohybrid cross, what Mendel did, the monohybrid cross. And we know in the monohybrid cross all the progenies shows the dominant phenotype because it follows the law of dominance. So when all will be dominant, so they all will be diseased. So if one parent is, for example here disease, one parent is a disease, another parent is healthy, and so their progeny, all their progeny will be diseased. So this is the third case of the cross. Now we look at another fourth case of the cross, where a heterozygous cross with a heterozygous, like the F1 selfing. If you remember from the monohybrid cross, the F1 selfing, since it's a heterozygous dominant, so it will be diseased, their phenotype will be diseased. Now both the parents are diseased, and we know that such kind of cross produce two phenotypes in a ratio of 3:1. So they will be diseased and they will be the healthy one. So healthy one is possible, a healthy progeny is possible in this case only when both the parents are heterozygous and diseased. Okay, now we look at the fifth one. If cross is something like this, if the one parent is heterozygous and diseased and the other parent is homozygous recessive and healthy, if such kind of scenario is there, so what we see, this cross is like a test cross, and in the test cross again we get two phenotypes but in equal proportion, 1:1 proportion. 50% of the progeny is diseased and 50% of the progeny is healthy. So now what we see here, in this in different cross among the progenies, the healthy progenies are only possible in two crosses, two conditions, the cross 4 and the cross 5. Cross 4 and cross 5 conditions only can produce a healthy progeny. This one healthy progeny and this one healthy progeny. So when both the parents are diseased but heterozygous, then they can produce the healthy progeny. Or one parent is heterozygous and dominant, of diseased, heterozygous and diseased and heterozygous, and the other parent is healthy and homozygous recessive. So in these, only in these two conditions they can produce the healthy progeny. Now we go back to the pedigree analysis. Okay, so now what we see here, a healthy progeny. So, and we know that the healthy progenies are only possible if both the parents are diseased. It means both will be heterozygous. But what we see, one is diseased, another is healthy. One is diseased, another is healthy. It means this diseased parent has to be heterozygous, like the cross pattern 5. It means then the genotype of this person 1, which is the diseased parent, that genotype will be capital M small m. So this will be the genotype. It will be heterozygous dominant. Now if you look at the second cross, again what we see in the second person here, in this second cross, one parent is healthy and another parent is diseased. So again this cross looks like the cross of the pattern 5. It means this person should also have a genotype capital M small m, yani it has to be heterozygous, diseased person but a heterozygous. Only then it can produce a healthy progeny, this one. So it means it's a genotype, the second person genotype is also heterozygous. So the first person has a genotype heterozygous, second person has a genotype heterozygous, the third person is homozygous recessive. We already have solved this puzzle. So now we solved this entire puzzle and we came to conclusion that we resolve the genotype for all the 3 person in this pedigree. So our options, the correct options would be D, which matches with our findings, that the first person will be heterozygous, second person will also be heterozygous, and third person will be homozygous recessive. I hope now this much of explanation will be very easy for you to comprehend using the very basic concepts of the genetics. Okay, have a good day and happy learning.